Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Hi everybody, I'm Terri. Jeremy and I are co-CEOs at Harvest Earnings. We talk about the business practices we love, but even better, the ones we love to hate. Come be a fly on the wall.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So you will see, if you're watching this, actually, an image up on the screen that we actually posted on LinkedIn a number of months ago, and many thousands of people have seen it at this point. And let me describe it a little bit. So there are two circles, and the title of this slide is "What Will Really Grow Corporate Earnings?" On the left is what people assume, and that is that the majority of the impact on corporate earnings going forward will be from artificial intelligence, and only a small slice will be from what we call HI, human intelligence. But in reality, human intelligence will continue to play a much bigger role in corporate earnings than artificial intelligence. So AI versus HI. But I will also enjoy calling this episode of the podcast Agent. So, Jeremy,
Okay.
What do you have to say about artificial intelligence?
So I will take down the image.
By image.
So the first thing that we should say about AI is that it's remarkable. Now, that comment these days itself is not remarkable because everybody agrees with this. It's an amazing thing that's occurred. DeepSeek's huge improvement in efficiency and quality over the last, compared to what we had a year or two ago, never mind in 2017 when the original paper for transformations came out. It's astonishing. Is it going to turn out to be as important as electricity? Probably not. Is it going to be at least...
Pretty big hurdle there.
That is a pretty big hurdle. Is it going to be at least as important as laptops and Excel spreadsheets and, server farms? Yeah, could be. So we are not at all dismissive of what an amazing thing is. But, and this was the name of the LinkedIn post that we put up, all that glitters is not gold. Or to shift metaphors and metals, this is not some kind of silver bullet for CEOs and executive teams to dramatically drive earnings. In fact, it will probably dramatically drive expenses and cost management attention time without showing up in earnings per share and even probably stock prices.
Yeah. We worry that management is greatly distracted. There's so much time and attention being given to how do we utilize AI? Are we going to fall behind if we don't have AI uses all over the place? And what's suffering as a result of that, and honestly, this has suffered for many reasons throughout the years, is how to actually use the human intelligence inside your company that is so much easier to use, less expensive.
You're already paying for it.
Yeah, you are.
All improvements are free at this point.
It's a sunk cost, and that is languishing. And one of the common examples that you have all, listeners have all experienced is all the money being spent on chatbots. When you are online with a company and you have a question and you go in to chat, you almost always now start with an AI chatbot. And how many times does that actually solve the problem? For me, almost never. I actually am not sure I can think of a time where it answered my question. And oftentimes it just makes me insane because it's so far off the mark and it's an endless loop sometimes. I was on with a big drugstore chain recently, I will not name, and I needed to change the address of where a prescription was being sent, which was my bad. Hit, complete order too quickly. And I talked to a person, so this is maybe a bad example, actually. I talked to a person who said, oh, you can't do it. You have to go online. Okay, so I go online. I don't see any possible way to do it. And then I hit the chat button and what can I help you with today? I need to change the address of a prescription. Would you like to set an appointment for a COVID vaccine? No, I'm good on that. I've had all of them. Change address prescription. COVID pops up again and again and again. I then start saying, human, person, agent, help.
Yes. How many times have I yelled into the phone? Like yelling matters. Agent, representative. So there's no doubt that, this use of AI can be frustrating. And the thing is that human intelligence is so much broader, so much richer, has access to so many more inputs that we can do things that machines aren't going to be doing for a long time. And so if someone is thinking about their earnings the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the incremental improvement you can get in your earnings by using the humans you've got and giving them better tools, giving them better ways, and not just AI, by the way, and giving them, learning how to listen to them, learning how to get them to collaborate better, learning how to get them to communicate better, will have a much bigger payoff on the bottom line than AI investments today. And one problem is, for the last, 30 years or so, sort of the digitization of the workplace really started.
Of our lives.
And of our lives really started in the 80s, maybe, when PCs became prevalent, is that there's been a slow degradation of how we interact as humans that get in the way of using our collective human intelligence. Because what's important isn't to have 10 smarter people. You got tons of smart people. The problem is getting those 10 smart people, 1,000 or 10,000, to work together in a different way. And that requires communication. But learning to rely on texting. I mean, these days, it's almost rude to pick up the phone and talk to someone. You're supposed to text them or email them. But then that means you ask a question, they misinterpret it, they give you the wrong answer, it gets buried in your list, you finally come back to it. Instead of having a 3-minute conversation. In fact, in our book, we have a chapter called Talk More, Email Less. And the reliance on more automated tools like AI is adding, and of course, work at home, a completely separate thing, though it is dependent on technologies like video conferencing, is adding to barriers to the communication that's so important to improving how your collective humans use their collective intelligence better.
Yeah, we were playing the other day with this feature, but now how if you get a text, at least, well, on your iPhone or whatever, but also on the Apple Watches, you get options to respond, and they're listed. So it's very simple. It's like thanks or see you later or whatever. But there's been a couple of times where I've been close to, because it's a finger on a tiny little screen, sending something very inappropriate as a response. You have received bad news or whatever, and you're like, great, see you later. So, we've done this we tested this for Yuck on LinkedIn recently. You wrote a post and a paragraph or so, and one of the options is have AI rewrite it. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was not only soulless, it was jargony, and it did not in any way improve the communication value of your post.
And Apple's already introducing these summaries of emails. Undoubtedly, they're going to start doing something more advanced than just picking one of 6 responses, which, by the way, this short list of options gets in the way, because one of what you really want to say is something between those 6 options, but I'm busy, I'm on the bus, I'll pick one of the options. So I don't really even express what I mean. But soon I'm sure they'll be having bots that answer emails for you. And we'll sort of get lazy. And a lot of this communication that's already been degraded will be further degraded.
Yeah. But also, in addition to the communication issue, is that AI, and we know it's early-ish days. I mean, it's probably not that early, actually. But
no, I think we're in Model T days.
Okay. I don't really know what that means.
To say, 2000, no, that's compared to a Lucid or a brand new Ferrari or something.
Don't talk lucid to me. So yes, it's early-ish days, and it will get better at many things. But it's, in our opinion, never going to be the be-all and end-all in terms of answering corporate questions. I mean, life questions, but we're talking about corporate earnings at the moment. Our principle is it does not know the questions to ask. And this is a tough thing for humans, for sure, but humans have the ability to get to it, whereas we don't think AI does. And of course, AI is answering questions. So if somebody doesn't ask AI, I mean, this is true in real life too, you don't ask the right question, you're not going to get the right answer. But in real life, one of the things we do with clients is 5 why. So you ask questions, and then you ask another, then you ask another, then you ask another. And AI can't handle that in a way that provides answers that are useful. And we've tried it. Do you want to talk about what we've tried in terms of phone?
And we don't think this is going to improve for quite a long time because of the structure of the way AI is designed and how it's trained. Much better. The more black and white the answers can be, the easier and better the training can be. And these are things that are at the other end of the scale. So, for example, we were at a client that made pizzas. Pepperoni pizzas were their most popular pizzas. They made many varieties of pizzas, microwavable, not microwavable, spicy, not spicy, different styles, Neapolitan, Detroit, whatever. They ended up using, across their entire pepperoni pizza platform, 22 different kinds of pizzas, pepperonis, because they were each picked for that style, that heating requirement. And it turned out they weren't getting any volume discounts. And this had never been noticed because they were picking the right pepperonis. They felt they were getting good scale, the sales, profits were good. But when given the right kind of tools and leadership and management, and became sort of collectively more curious and collectively asking better questions, they began to realize that many of those flavors of pepperoni could be replaced with other ones that they had in their inventory and get the same or better customer satisfaction. This isn't about cutting costs and hurting the customer. It's about cutting costs and helping the customer. They were able to reduce down initially to 7 and later even to 4 different styles of pepperoni and get volume discounts because they were now buying sufficient volumes of those styles and getting better customer satisfaction scores.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, to get there. So we asked AI, a variety of different questions deliberately to induce the answer of look at replacing some of your current pepperoni styles with other ones. We were working hard to make it come up with the answer, and it couldn't get there.
Nope.
Because it has no context. It's not good at hypothesizing. It doesn't have the richness of signals that, say, a table in which we put, someone from R&D and someone from operations and someone from sales, and they're kind of spitballing with each other. And someone goes, maybe the problem is.
Yeah. And that collaboration is key. AI isn't collaborative. Yes, you can feed it information from lots of different areas, but it took R&D and operations and marketing to be together to say, R&D, we know you're coming up, you're very diligently working on recipes for each pizza to get just exactly what you want. But that results in all these different pepperonis. Is that really, really necessary? So R&D is doing their job. Marketing is just, marketing the product. Operations is doing what operations does. They're creating, they're making those pizzas. And so everybody individually is doing what's right for their world, but collectively it didn't make sense.
Well, and in fact, marketing would do testing on the whole pizza. That's how they determined it was good and they should put it into the market. And it wasn't until they realized the huge amount of savings that was on the table that made marketing say, well, we normally don't like these other kinds of tests that are quicker, dirtier tests, but not dirty, rougher. But given how much money's on the table, we should, in fact, do these kinds of tests because it'll help us narrow those 22 down to, 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah. And like you said, we worked hard to get AI to give us the proper answer by phrasing it very carefully to sort of lead the witness, but it couldn't. It do a fairly impressive job of some generic,
yes.
It did say, look for volume discounts. It didn't say, for example, check your SKUs and see if you can do anything with those. But it did give some high level things, but it didn't get to the thing that both saved money and, as you have said, didn't in any way hurt the customer and actually helped the customer. So that's a tricky thing. And I think it's going to be a long time before AI touches shy in that kind of a topic.
Because has to be trained off data sets of various kinds. And there simply aren't quite data sets in a company that elicit those kinds of questions.
For example, when we were doing a project for Heinz in Europe many years back, they had 30 factories in Europe, and one of them made pasta shapes and another one made soups that had pasta pieces in them, and they were buying pasta outside of Heinz. They weren't buying it internally from their own factory because they didn't know. Now, could AI know that? Sure. But it's going to be a while before it does. I mean, that's a lot of level of detail internally to get AI to that. And as you said about this example earlier, once you know it, you don't need AI. You just need the humans to say, oh, well, that's silly. We should buy from our own company.
Yeah. Or, at least investigate, is the transportation cost of getting it, somehow offset by the profit paid to the vendor we're using. And those analyses are pretty simple and well within our grasp if you know that you should analyze it. So this is one thing about collective, individual, but even more importantly, collective human intelligence. The ability to use a group to get to the right questions, hypotheses, answers quickly, and to then get buy-in to do the thing. So, by the way, that soup division was all very happy because they sort of feel like they came up with the idea of using the internal pasta. If the mandate just comes down from AI, it's kind of like having an outside consultant or some special project team. You don't get the what would I say, the buy-in, the collaboration, the enthusiasm that then helps you execute these ideas.
We just talked about this in the last episode.
Okay, sorry.
Top of mind for you. So I guess being told by AI is the same as being told by a consultant or by your parents you don't want to do it.
Exactly.
But another problem with AI, but this is actually causing this problem, is that we tend to believe it. Everybody knows the famous, well, I don't know if everybody knows, but there was an attorney who wrote a brief and, searched the internet for cases that would be applicable. And she found one or two and put them in her brief. And it turned out AI made them up completely. So AI is not necessarily the source of truth.
Right.
And yet we're all sort of going, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's hard enough. We've talked about this in other podcasts and in our book. It's hard enough to get people to question why something is true, to delve into the truth of the thing. We all, every one of us, everybody tends to be a little lazy because you got to get through life. You got a lot of decisions to make. It's hard to challenge things. When you have something like AI telling you it is so, it becomes even more authoritative, which is ironic because everybody knows that AIs hallucinate. And they hallucinate because they're not truth seekers. They are predictors of what the next word should be with some, truth-seeking ability based on how well they can get trained. And the more black and white, the better the train, less black and white.
And speaking of training, one of the things that, we started this with too much attention is being paid to AI versus chat. Back to that chatbot example. So a lot of money being put into AI that maybe isn't being put into training the humans that invariably have to then step in and answer the questions for real that AI can't. So I guess this is just the elephant in the boardroom here is managers, C-suite, boards. Be very careful about the money you're spending on AI if it's diverting from your HI. And there was one other point I was going to make, and I slipped my H.
Yeah. And when we say diverting from HI, a lot of companies spend very, very little time and attention on how can we improve the corporate IQ? And to the degree they do spend time on it, it's usually about how can we improve individual recruiting, promotion, retention. But it's not the individual. Individual is very important, don't get me wrong. But a lot of teams have shown that you might not have all the best players on the field, but you are the cohesive group and you win because of that. It's always good to have a few stars there.
Yeah. One other example of fault in AI is something we learned about years ago when we went to the Disney Institute. One of the things that they train heavily their people on is how to read the question behind the question.
Yeah.
And one of our favorite examples, and we may have talked about in the past, but it's very common question is what time is and the example they use is the 3 o'clock parade. What time is the 3 o'clock parade? AI would say 3 o'clock, you idiot. Maybe the you idiot.
Yeah, and that is why we are your overlords.
Yes, but Disney trains its people to think behind the question, which is people really mean when should I get there to get a good spot? And where should I be? If I'm here, is it really 3:15 by the time it hits? People aren't really asking what time is 3 o'clock parade. So they teach people my favorite spot to look at it is up here on the bridge behind Cinderella. I don't know, whatever. And it'll get there around 3:15, but you should probably be there around 2:45 because it gets crowded. A lot more data. AI can't do that. So corporations, please utilize your HI and don't send us down a path of incremental degradation of customer service, in particular using AI. And someday we should talk about the Chomp candy bar.
We should.
But probably not today.
Incremental degradation comes to a sad, sad end. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.